is exactly 1:20 a.m. and I'm about to show you colors that not only have you never seen before, but you probably weren't aware they even existed. Today, we're talking about chimerical colors. No, I'm not just going to be showing you a shade of random, gross brown orange that you've never seen because it sucks, but because they are usually physically impossible to see. Let me explain. They are called imaginary colors, and they're called imaginary not because they don't exist, but because they don't usually exist. Or at least, they don't usually exist in a way that we can see them. See, there's this thing called the visible spectrum of light, and those colors exist outside of the visible spectrum of light. But here's the really cool thing. With a bunch of yada yada science that I explained in my last video about imaginary colors, sometimes we can exhaust the cells that detect color in our eyes so much that we are able to see colors that are not usually visible to the human eye. Super cool, right? So I talked a little bit about chimerical colors. That is exactly what this is. That is how I was able to show you an approximation of Olo, which is a color that before then, and technically still only like half a dozen people have ever seen in the entire world. And that's also how I'm going to be showing you 3 more colors today. And what are these colors? Well, they happen to have the craziest names pretty much ever. Because these colors are Stygian Blue, Hyperbolic Orange, and Self-luminous Red. What the frick is that? Well, I'm about to tell you. And we're going to be doing them throughout the video, kind of spaced out so that your eyes can have a second to rest. If you can watch this video in a dark room, that's probably ideal. If not, I don't know. It's probably fine, but it'll work the best if you're in a dark room. But before we get to experimenting with these colors, a quick sponsor. As someone who spends most of their waking hours either working or thinking about working, sometimes it can be hard to find the time or energy to eat balanced meals, and occasionally my rainbow of nutrients turns into several bowls of crackers and a piece of melted cheese. That's why I am happy to be partnering with Factor for this video, because they deliver fresh, never frozen meals directly to your front door that you can literally just pop in the microwave for 2 minutes and then have ready to eat. No planning, no cleanup, and they're crafted by chefs. Ooh la la. But do they taste good? Yeah, they're freaking delicious. So if you're a workaholic like me, or if you just like the convenience of easy meals and you want to try out Factor, head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code BECCAFB50 to get 50% off your first Factor box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code BECCAFB50 at factor75.com to get 50% off plus free breakfast for 1 year. Now, let's get back to imaginary colors, shall we? So here's the thing, because we have 3 colors to get through today, I figured we would do them from easiest to see to hardest to see. So the first one, and the easiest to see by far in my opinion, is Hyperbolic Orange. What the crap is Hyperbolic Orange? Well, it is an orange that has more than 100% saturation. You are just going to stare intensely and without blinking at the square in the center of the screen, and then it's going to flash to a new screen. When it changes to that new screen, you will hopefully see an approximation of Hyperbolic Orange in the center of the screen. Ready to try it? Is it gonna work? Well, that's for you to know and me to find out. So, friends, how did you enjoy the Hyperbolic Orange? Hopefully your eyes are feeling okay so far, because we got 2 more colors, baby. So the second color is Self-luminous Red, which is supposed to be a red that is simultaneously very saturated and also appears to be like glowing from within itself, if that makes sense, even though it's on a flat background. Some people say that it's a red that appears brighter than white, and other people just say that it is a red that is extremely ridiculously glowy despite being a solid color. Super interesting. So I found that the best way to achieve this color was a little bit different than some of the color tests that were done online. I guess scientists, if I did this wrong, let me know in the comments. Without further ado, now that I've let your eyes cool down a little bit, let's see if we can see it. So, did you see it? Let me know in the comments if this one worked for you. Now, this third color is the one that I frankly had the most difficulty with. What's super interesting about Stygian Blue, number one, it's named after the river Styx, which was said to be an incredibly dark black-blue color. And it's also by far, I think, the one that I had the hardest time figuring out a really, really effective visual way to trick your eyes into seeing this color. But I think I did it. I think this one is probably my favorite. Without further ado, let's see if we can see that river Styx, that Stygian Blue. So, did you see it? This one, it was the hardest for me to see, even when I was very, very confident that I was doing it perfectly correctly. And I know with some other people, it might take you a few watch-throughs of a couple of these, especially like the Self-luminous Red and the Stygian Blue, to really see the full, saturated, imaginary color. A very funny sentence to think about. So, here's the thing. You could be saying, why does any of this matter? Who cares? That's cool, I guess. It's a neat little party trick. But like, what is the actual practical application of chimerical colors and these other imaginary colors? That's a fascinating question. One of the things is that I think it really helps us to understand a little bit more about how color perception and vision works. The way that different people perceive color is a crazy thing to take a deep dive into. For instance, I have no idea if these tests work remotely the same for people who are, say, red-green colorblind or purple-blue colorblind. I'll have to test them out on my brother-in-law and see if he can get back to me. But also, I think that studying these colors really has helped us to understand like how our perception of color works as a whole. Not just like from person to person, but also how we see and perceive the colors that we do. The thing that's super cool about impossible colors, chimerical colors, imaginary colors, is that they essentially prove the idea that a lot of our perception of color is made up. It's imaginary. Color is kind of, I've heard it described that the way that our brains perceive color, it's kind of like a display on your computer. You don't literally have a tiny little folder that you're opening to access your documents. It's just a bunch of zeros and ones. But because you can move the cursor and you understand what you're seeing and you can interpret that to do a valuable function, it doesn't really matter what it actually is versus what you perceive it as. Color is very much the same way. So in a way, all colors are really just imaginary. We have no way of knowing if the person next to us is perceiving color in exactly the same way that we are. I've thought about this a lot. But anyway, existential thoughts aside, what was your favorite imaginary color that we saw today? Did you like any of them? Did you hate them all? And if you like this video, you would probably like my other videos where I talk about color, imaginary colors, and color perception, such as my video where I show you Olo, a color that previously only like 6 people had seen, and another video about why pink is not a real color. If you enjoyed this video, please throw me a subscribe and comment and all that good stuff. Thank you so much to my patrons. They make everything that I do possible. And lastly, thanks again to the sponsor of this video, Factor. I will see you guys in the next video. Until then, have a great week. Don't die. Unless it's with dye. Unless it's with paint. Just kidding. No.